the solution to prostitution on the street. I hope you guys have taken a good look at these people who are supposedly could be able to prostitute, and you see that their problem is not only need-based, there are factors of mental health in it. On the brochure, I'd let you know that if I want to be elected, one of the focus will be a renewed effort, a revisitation of the approach to mental health issues in this community. I don't think you can solve any problem if you don't address the root cause. You can jail them all you want, get more police patrolling the place, but they will find a way, especially when they have insatiable needs to address. So an approach to it would be, not only would everybody be participating in it, but the system will have to address those issues with a dimension that is different from what it is now. I can't give you the details now, however, if approached, if elected, you will be aware of it. Thank you.
These things you speak of are symptoms of failures elsewhere, of course. Most of the young men and women on the street selling themselves are failures. Can I get more time? Are failures of the child welfare system in most respects. The NET team has been very effective in bringing a multidisciplinary approach to it, and I'm waiting for Mr. Caterina to tell us that he invented the internet, because I'm sure that's coming next. I belong to a community safety council on Alberta Avenue, and we do community patrols, Dave, twice a week, and you're more than welcome to attend with us on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so that's a great idea you had as well. I think that the way we combat this thing is eyes on the street. Evil doesn't like light. And the more people, the more family-friendly activities, the more safe we feel on the street to be on the street, the less we're going to see street crime like drug dealing and street prostitution. That is the only effective way, and also dealing with those root causes. So working with the province to make sure that people are accessing the mental health services that they need, that women have safe houses to go to so they don't have to sell themselves on the street just to eat, because that's what happens an awful lot of time, and that those that are addicted with alcohol and drugs can find the services they need, because they can't right now. There's waiting lists that are years long for these people to get treatment. So we can't just criminalize it and sweep it away, because it's going to surface someplace else. We need a holistic approach to it, and I'm ready to do that work.
Well, it's true, it's a social problem, but it's been around as long as society's been around, so is there a practical end to it? I don't think so. Why don't we go the way of Britain and get lots of cameras on hotspots? Because no client or no hooker wants to be on camera. One operator can operate 100 cameras and direct officers as needed. It's on main streets, it's a viable solution. I don't like cameras on side streets, but that's one way to do it.
Who's here heard of DEXA? Yes? Not many, though. It's in Bellevue. They have a program that's been operating for the last 15 years to help prostitutes get off the street. No one in this room knows about it, or very few. There are 3 other agencies in the ward. Mimi does. There are 3 other agencies in this ward that are struggling to do the exact same thing. What they do is they provide a way to communicate with the people on the street to get them out. Communication. This needs to be emphasized in every single instance when our city goes to fund new incentives or programs to deal with the disadvantaged and the vulnerable. It is not communicated clearly enough, and these agencies don't know that the other ones exist, or if they do, they're fighting for the same money. And that's because they've already told me this when I sat on their executive committees in the last month, that they're fighting for the same money. This is not me making this up. That needs to stop, and it can only be done by coordinating and communicating properly, and that's how you reach the people. You're not going to get everyone, but you'll definitely get more, and you'll have that reduced. So it's reduction, not elimination.
Thank you. We'll go to the floor.
Oh, thank you, candidates. Good job. I want to ask, Where do I go? I want to ask you all about public involvement, and I'm going to public involvement, and I'm going to put a little bit of information before that. In July, the Provincial Auditor General came out and indicated over the last 5 years the $1.1 billion problem of homelessness and homeless grants would. Yeah, that problem, or there had been $1.1 billion worth of grants given out. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation approached both Edmonton and Calgary. For $25, they inquired in Calgary about why there were so many problems. They got all their information, no problem. In Edmonton, they have not got the information. They've gone to appeal 2 times and are now the information commissioner to get information on why these grants were given out inappropriately to developers who did not meet criteria, etc. Now, last year,
15 seconds.
okay, we had the infill problem in the city and trying to get that through without any consultation. Will you support an auditor's investigation into the public involvement process in Edmonton?
Thank you. And we will start this question. Dave, right?
Oh, gotcha. Katerina.
Well, I think the public engagement is really a cornerstone of effective democracy. If elected officials and administrations don't have processes in place to ensure that ordinary citizens have an opportunity to acquire information and provide views and information, then democracy is not working. I've heard a lot of concerns, frankly, about the state of public engagement in the city of Edmonton. I've even heard comments from some councillors that we have to do a better job here. I support I don't know about an auditor, perhaps that's the way to an auditor's review of public engagement practices within the city, but I certainly support a review of public engagement practices. And that review, in my mind, would involve significant public consultation, a series of meetings held around the city in which we invited taxpayers and citizens to come in and share their views about their level of confidence or frustration with public engagement coming from the city of Edmonton. How easy it is to acquire information, how confident they are that decision making actually respects and reflects public values and concerns. So I guess hearing from individuals and hearing from councillors that we could do a better job in this area. I think it's time to review how we are doing our job in the area of public engagement and make a commitment to do better.
Thank you. Going back to your question, so I understand that you're asking if we would support an auditor's review of inappropriate donations, programs, grants. I didn't quite follow what you were
There has been $1.1 billion worth of grants given out for affordable housing in Alberta for the last 5 years. The Auditor General went through those papers.
Okay, I understood that. Who gave the grants out and which auditor are you talking about? City auditor?
No, this is the
Provincial auditor. Okay, I got your gist. So certainly any audit of anything going on inappropriately, whether it's distributing money or not, absolutely. I don't think anybody would say no, that they wouldn't support it. I thought that you were insinuating that the city auditor should be brought in because the city did something inappropriate.
Well, the money goes to the city, and the city's giving out grants to developers. And if those grants are given out to developers that are not meeting the criteria of affordable housing, there's a problem.
Absolutely. So I guess the answer would be yes, I would support an auditor's review if circumstances arose that there was some inappropriate grants being made. Absolutely.
And the infill part was last year. Last year, the city council or the administration brought forth the infill guidelines for the residential low density infill guidelines and tried to do that without 1 minute of consultation with any community in this city. They went back and after they got some pressure, they went to get a 4-hour
Okay,
workshop.
thank you, sir. We'll just carry on with the
The question and the answer to me is a resounding yes. I will support it. Not only will I support it, I will partake in any initiation that get the process going. Thank you.
I think you want a city that's more accountable, more open, more transparent. I want those things too. I'm not sure an audit is the way to go. I know this particular case you're talking about, and it's absurd what goes on in this city relative to Calgary, and that this has happened twice now recently. Similarly, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation tried to get expense claims of councillors, and they hit a roadblock. Calgary gave them all up for 25 bucks. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation was told if they wanted to see the mayors and 4 other councillors here in Edmonton, it would cost them over $11,000. It's absurd. And for council, I heard Dave Loken today, I'm not running in Ward 3, but this councillor, all of them, nothing could stop them from scanning those expense claims and putting them online, but no. So we need to really, we're getting to the point where I remember Brian Mason representing this area and having to go to court to get them to stop with the secrecy, stop with hiding behind privacy, stop making decisions behind closed doors, and stop trying to avoid accountability. That's what's happening again, and I don't know that an auditor is going to fix it. I think we need to clean house. That's going to fix it.
Well, of course, I would love to have a full audit as harsh as possible. It's, there's no reason for sandbagging. We should stick it to them.
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Neil.
Neil. I don't know. I agree a lot with what Mimi said. I don't know how effective an audit is going to be. The Charbonneau Commission that we have in Quebec is not putting anyone in jail at the moment. It's stirring up a lot of really ill feelings, but it doesn't actually stop people from doing this. Accountability is absolutely key, and that is what this election's about. You have a lot of new people running, and you've got half of them are definitely going to be returned, and you've got another group of incumbents that are really fighting for their positions. If you think that this is an issue that has not been addressed by your incumbent, then don't vote for him and vote for somebody else who's going to do it, who's open and communicable. And that's the only way that this is going to change, because every one of us here on this side are honest and are communicable and have no problem posting things online and etc. so that this doesn't happen. That's the issue. Don't let it happen.
Thank you all. We'll take another question on the floor.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm a third-generation resident of Newton, and what concerns me about my community is the walkability of Newton, and of course ensuring that we can manage infill while retaining the charm of our community. In regards to walkability, I want to thank you, Tony, for your support regarding a bike path. Looking at a new path for that, and it's going to come up again this spring. But what that experience taught me was that transportation seems to have a mind of its own, and often will work outside of its own scope. The perfect example of that is adding 100 kilometers of bike paths when 300 kilometers was originally slated, and they decided to make it 400. So my question for all of you is, how do you ensure that type of thing isn't going to happen under your watch?
And we will start with Tony.
Thank you for the question, and that has been a concern not only for you but for many communities. Unfortunately, for some communities, they did go ahead, and now unfortunately they're trying to fight the issues. The other one we had was actually a proposal for the bike path down 132nd Avenue from 82nd Street to 97th Street. And if many of you know, driving that area, you're in front of O'Leary, you're in front of the pool, you're in front of St. Cecilia, St. Matthew's. And imagine when you go there at 8:30 in the morning, you see the people triple parked, and suggesting that we eliminate the parking. down that street. So sometimes you're right, you have to give your, or I have to give my head a shake as well too and say, what the heck were they thinking? Why would they pick this particular road or that particular road? And those are issues that we really have to be careful with and get in front of before the plans are implemented in order to do these sorts of things. And absolutely, you know, that's an issue for me that I do keep aware of what development permits and what the city is doing in different neighborhoods, and make sure that we know what the feeling is. Does it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? And for Newton here, it really didn't make sense. Nobody realized there's no parking lot here at the community lake. How are you going to run a wedding here or anything else that you want to do and support the community? So that was something quite simple that should have been caught.
Well, first of all, let me say I am passionately committed to health. That was my #1 issue in my 9 years on the school board. I've taken a position on health on my website today. I think we need leadership on council that will prioritize health, and dealing with opportunities like walkable and bikeable communities are excellent steps forward, and we can do a much better job in that area. So I'm very supportive of your the value that you attach to those initiatives. In regard to a transportation department that some may perceive as gone wild, run amok, I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's entirely appropriate to get a councillor involved when transportation is unresponsive to the needs of a community. I think they should be involved. But I also think, from what I've observed at public council meetings, there has to be more respectful relationships between transportation and council and other members of the administration. I've seen far too much disrespectful language and body language and things like that. And if we're going to make inroads into changing the culture within transportation and making them more responsive, we can't, as the mayor did, say that he couldn't understand how they could make decisions and come out in the public and publicly criticize the head of transportation. We have to build respectful relationships that will be much more productive if they are respectful.